Great, welcome everyone. Glad you're here with us today. We're excited to share our partnership work that is specifically focused on preparing candidates to become impassioned and impactful teachers of literacy for all students. We'll do some quick intros and then we'll get started. So I'm Andrew Hashey. I'm a faculty member here in Buffalo State's Department of Exceptional Education. Tracy?
Hi, my name is Tracy Caruana. I'm a mentor teacher and special education teacher in the 15-to-1 setting at Holmes Elementary.
Sara?
I'm Sara Infantino. I am one of the reading interventionists here at Holmes Elementary.
Jessica?
My name's Jessica Bennett. I was a teacher candidate in the spring of 2021.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Rains. I'm the principal at Holmes Elementary.
Great. So this is our team, and we are excited to get started. So let the fun begin. So today we'll be talking about our partnership work in the context of a relatively recently revised undergraduate program. Of course, our partnership with Holmes Elementary in Buffalo State, where we teach a block of literacy courses, as well as the structures and the experiences that we've used to prepare candidates to support literacy growth and learning of all students. So I'll talk about the program real quick. Starting 6 or 7 years ago, the School of Education sought to re-envision our preparation of teacher candidates in our dual certification program. So these are candidates pursuing students with disabilities 1 through 6 and childhood education, grades 1 through 6 certification. And we wanted to ensure that these candidates weren't learning 3 different sets of knowledge and skills. So a foundation set of knowledge and skills, special education and elementary education. So to do that, we brought together teams of faculty across 3 departments that you see those listed above there, who collaborated to design a program that really emphasized a shared set of practices and skills that collectively we thought would better prepare candidates to be successful literacy teachers and interventionists. So some of the questions driving our work are shown up here on the screen. We took time to consider and to strategize about the conditions under which candidates would become impactful teachers of literacy of all students. Specifically, we also sought to figure out how to help candidates integrate ideas that have been at times really different and sort of those long simmering debates about literacy teaching. I think they happened somewhere around the beginning of time. And they're just getting settled out here now. And third, we're also really committed to doing this work alongside our wonderful teacher partners in our local schools. So finding a school that shared this vision about teacher education and about literacy education in general was essential. So Matt's going to tell you a little bit more about Holmes Elementary context, and then we'll get into some details about the literacy block.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. So it's interesting when Andrew first approached me with the Buff State PDS partnership, it was rather unique, and everything that he was describing the teacher candidates would learn and grow. We really said that we could use that here. We had some needs in the building with our literacy gaps, if you will, and we thought that this partnership could really help our kids, help our staff, and really help Buff State. So what you see on the screen is kind of a win-win for both Holmes Elementary and Buffalo State College. In the building level, we get literacy support in our classrooms. We get the Buff State students positively interacting with our children. Our faculty gets free access to the PDS program for professional development. Buffalo State has helped with our family literacy nights when we have those. Our community comes in for the literacy nights, and Buff State helps us partner with that. And they also provide grant funding for anything that we may find applicable. And in return, Buff State gets a clinically rich program. The mentors and the mentees have a great relationship where they get wisdom and they have genuine collegial conversations. The Buff State students get authentic classroom application. That was the big piece that I thought was unique to this program, because I remember going into my student teaching, I was like, wow, this is it. But this is a prelude into that, and it's really getting the students prepared. It gets their feet on the ground. They can ask genuine questions, and it just is a true, authentic learning experience that those kids get. And when I reflect on my experiences, I wish that I had that. So it was nice to see that Buffalo State introduce this. Also, the Buffalo State students get opportunities to build and network professional relationships, and they get service learning opportunities. So real quickly, those are the mentor teachers. You can see the Holmes teachers currently working. Jeff, Katie, Tracy, and Sara, they're remarkable. They always answer the call. But I do want to highlight that we try our best to circulate the mentor teachers. We try to utilize our whole staff. We have a wealth of knowledge in our building and dedicated professionals here in Kenton. And the more we can interact with various staff members, we try to circulate that. You can see the administrators there, myself and Mrs. Licata Michael at Holmes, as well as our partnership with Buff State with Mary and Andrew. It's just been a genuine partnership. They come to us at all walks. The door is always open. We're having great conversations. We're bouncing ideas off of each other. We're continually reflecting to see how we can continue this partnership and strengthen it in the times to come.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
All right, and I'm just going to give you an overview of our literacy needs here at Holmes. So at Holmes Elementary, the reading interventionist identifies students for Tier 2 and Tier 3 reading support. We do this through a thorough benchmarking process that we've just completed with our 1st through 4th grade students. So this fall, we have about 52% of our 1st through 4th grade student population participating in reading interventions. So these interventions will be provided by the reading team, and they're also provided by our special education teachers. We are fortunate to be able to provide these Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions to the many students that we service. But additionally, having this partnership with Buffalo State has been a wonderful asset to our students in need of literacy support. It has allowed Buffalo State teacher candidates to supplement and enhance our Tier 1 instruction in the classroom. And in addition to supplementing instruction in their mentor class, we are able to invite these teacher candidates into our classrooms and show them the Tier 3 and Tier 3 interventions that are being provided by the reading interventionist. This allows them exposure to the menu of interventions that they may come across as they enter student teaching and eventually their own classrooms.
Great, awesome, thanks, Sara. So I'm going to share a little bit or a brief overview of literacy block that's the focus of this partnership with Holmes. And one of the central features is that this 9 credit hour block of courses, so 3 courses, one in general education, one in special education, and then a field experience course, they're all co-taught and or co-supervised by Mary Lavin, my co-teacher, and myself. So a merging of experience and expertise from the exceptional education department and the elementary education department. And so to make that successful, and this will come as no surprise to any of you who have engaged in co-teaching at any point in your careers, we've invested lots of time in shared planning and strategizing about how to bring our experiences and knowledge and skills together and to speak with one voice, or as unified a voice as humanly possible when we're working with our candidates. So one of the things that we've remained focused on is this area in which our beliefs and our experiences and skills converge. So focusing on those convergent areas has been a really powerful way to send a consistent message, an unsiloed message to candidates about what good literacy instruction looks like for all students, as well as the knowledge and skills and practices that candidates need to leverage when learning's not going the way we hoped or intended. So equipping candidates with that set of skills that Sara mentioned earlier as students need more intensive supports or services. So it's been a great experience, and while it's common in the K-12 sphere, it's not common, co-teaching that is, in higher ed. So that's been a great personal experience and professional experience for myself and for Mary. And so through all of that, we've had lots of organic opportunities to model, to use these professional dispositions, which we'll talk a little bit more of in just a few slides. Lots of real world application, which has been another great professional growth experience for me. What the day looks like at Holmes, we spend a lot of time planning, Mary and I. We also spend a lot of time at Holmes. We spend practically 2 full days, 2 6-hour days throughout the week. And typically you see in that table there is the general flow of the day. Candidates are in our dedicated classroom space, which is a great feature to have, a great space to have that we can rely on. It's the same space. We've got storage there. They've really invited us to make the space a shared one. So we spend an hour in that classroom teaching and learning, doing Buff State stuff, preparing candidates to enter the classroom. They spend 2 hours in their mentor classrooms, and that time aligns with a 90-minute ELA block. And then after students are done with that 2 hours in the classroom, they come back to our dedicated classroom space, our Buff State and Holmes learning space. And we spend another 2 to 3 hours there debriefing. What did you do? What did you see? Reflecting on that, on those experiences, and then doing more teaching and practicing of course content. So Jess is going to share a little bit about what that experience was like from a candidate's perspective, going across these different learning spaces.
Yeah, as a Buff State candidate, we definitely saw that bridge between the coursework and the classroom. So we were able to be exposed to literacy instruction from both the gen ed side and the special ed perspectives. And then we were taught everything in the dedicated space in the Buffalo State classroom. Then we had the opportunity to transition it right into our mentor teacher's classroom and teach it ourselves. So I was able to learn something and then go try it out right away with the student, and then bring it back to my classroom at my Buff State classroom and be like, hey, this is what happened. What can I do differently to make it more effective next time? Or I can say, hey, this really worked. I'm glad I got the opportunity to try this right away. So we really got that experience, able to do something right away. And I also got to talk to my mentor teacher and get feedback from her. And I was able to see how the students who were at risk and who had disabilities benefited from different kinds of instruction. And I was learning the things that I was learning in my course. And it helped me see my role as a teacher for all students. And I gained the knowledge and skills that I'll need in my future classrooms. It's a huge difference about reading, about teaching, and actually doing it. So having that opportunity was so amazing. And that bridge was clearly shown thanks to Holmes.
So I mentioned, thanks, Jess. I mentioned the set of professional dispositions, and glancing at the list of folks here, I know a lot of us are familiar with those professional dispositions. But as Jess's comments just alluded to, when we faculty and candidates find ourselves in authentic classroom settings, those dispositions peel off of the syllabus of our syllabi, and they jump into a reality. And so there's no better place for candidates, for any of us, to see the value that these dispositions play in delivering effective instruction, forging strong relationships with students, maintaining that continual focus on reflection, on practice and reflection, and seeing that loop becomes crystal clear when you're in actual school buildings. So that's been fantastic. And from an instructional standpoint, Mary and I we dedicate a lot of class time to talking about these dispositions now that candidates are in the actual classroom settings. So we discuss them, we talk about what they look like in practice, what they look like in the virtual space. When Jess was teaching, she was both she was a Zoom teacher, and she was also in person, as were her classmates, practicing what these dispositions look like in our dedicated classroom space before candidates go out and are asked to use and reflect on them in their mentor classrooms. We also set candidates, and Jess and her cohort set goals, self-evaluated themselves on where they were at in these dispositions at the beginning of the year, set goals, updated and evaluated those different goals throughout the course of the semester. And so Jess will talk a little bit more about those in just a minute.
Yeah, we definitely saw the professional dispositions everywhere. Discussions in class help us notice the dispositions in practice. We talked about all of them. And it wasn't like it was just mentioned to us. It was something we were surrounded with, like not in just our Buff State classroom, but in the Holmes community. Everyone demonstrated all of these things. Like we could just see it in the hallway. Instructors communicated and collaborated very well. Dr. Hashey and Miss Lavin really took teaching us to the next level. We started our semester a little rocky. It was first semester, but they mastered every disposition. They demonstrated it so well. I vividly remember at the start of the semester, we had a little miscommunication, misunderstanding, and Miss Lavin and Dr. Hashey noticed it, and they asked for our feedback, and we gave it, and they took it and ran with it. They were so incredibly reflective, so collaborative, so committed to our success as students, and then in turn, our students that were teaching success. And they showed us what good teachers are right from the start. School professionals came together in support of students. We saw that through the Holmes community so well. Mr. Raines, special education teachers, general education teachers, RTI teachers, and related services came to talk to us at different times throughout the semester. And they even included us in a few meetings to really give us the opportunity to experience what it's like to work in a school. We were given full insight to all the needs of the school, and we were taught everything we needed to know about the school in order to benefit everyone teaching. And it really showed us how much Holmes cares about their students. We even got a presentation by the district ELA coordinator to help us understand the scholastic program that they use at their school. So they provided us with so many resources to help uplift everyone involved. So we were really brought into the Holmes family. And then I specifically saw these dispositions in my mentor teacher because we were on Zoom half of the time. So I was with her on Wednesdays, and I would help her when I can, but it was a lot of observing because it is first grade. They can barely learn in a classroom. They're so fidgety, and now you're going to put them in front of a screen. It's a lot of reflection, and you have to be reliable. It's crazy. And so just watching her take notes and see what worked and what doesn't work is an amazing opportunity. And I was so glad to witness that, especially the time that we're in right now. We're still very much in online learning. And it was just such an amazing opportunity to see all of that.
Thanks, Jess.
So I began my role as a mentor teacher in the fall of 2020, and this semester is my third semester working with teacher candidates from Buffalo State College. And I will start by stating that I couldn't be more proud and excited to continuously collaborate with Buffalo State College as it is my alma mater. I absolutely love my Buffalo State experience, and I hope my connection with the college and my passion for teaching helps to flourish our overall goal of future passionate, reflective, innovative, student-centered educators. As a new teacher candidate enters my classroom, my goal is for each candidate to have the best learning experience possible that also fits their unique learning needs. I make time each day that they are in attendance to ask my candidates if they have any questions regarding their teaching practice or any questions related to their coursework. If a teacher candidate has any worries or concerns, I encourage my candidates to share any concerns with me, and we work on them together to make this the best experience possible. I immediately teach and model with my teacher candidates the importance of self-reflection and reflecting daily on teaching practice through collaboration and effective communication. I think this has been one of the most impactful experiences for my teacher candidates because they get to experience early on the power of reflection and how it guides your planning moving forward. I understand the role of my teacher candidates in the classroom for this course, but I have also encouraged enthusiasm and stated to every candidate that I fully support them taking learning risks if they wish to teach more or try something new within my class. I truly love teaching, it's evident, and my hope is that my teacher candidates can feel the empowerment of teaching early on in their college career. And I feel that this opportunity truly strengthens the candidates' confidence and increases their stamina as they move forward in their program.
And Tracy is going on her third semester of being one of our fantastic mentors. So a frequent flyer.
Yes, thank you. So another essential component of teaching in special education setting that my teacher candidates take away from our Buffalo State collaboration is the power of teamwork. I model how to effectively communicate with my classroom aide, and it is evident daily with how we manage different tasks within the classroom, but continuously collaborate to ultimately benefit our students. My teacher candidates observe my interactions with and collaborations and planning with my team of therapists, which include speech, OT, PT, and vision. My teacher candidates get to see how I design my classroom learning environment to promote differentiation, student self-advocacy, student engagement, and an overall positive culture. Teacher candidates are active students in our digital platforms that we use, so they get to observe the various forms of communication that we provide for our students and parents and guardians. Teacher candidates will send home an introductory letter home to parents and guardians, letting them know that they will be working in our classroom and working with their children during that specific period of time. When collaborating with my teacher candidates, I also model and emphasize the importance of being a part of the school community by joining school or district communities and committees and collaborating with our colleagues.
So thanks, Tracy. So zooming out a little bit, we share some of the questions that drove our thinking and conversations surrounding the redesign of the undergraduate program. So specifically, when we're thinking about this literacy block, we were interested in figuring out how do we ensure that candidates have a range of experiences that will truly help them build the knowledge and skills they need to reach all students. And so one of the things that we did was use this RTI framework and to be intentional about spreading all these variables you see on the right-hand side of the screen across the different tiers of the RTI framework and across both general and special education classroom settings. And so we'll share a little bit more about these specific variables, sort of self-explanatory, readings across the spectrum, assignments that ask candidates to teach to whole classes, to within whole class settings, smaller group, guided reading groups, one-on-one intervention, smaller one-on-one interventions, as well as a range of observation and practice opportunities in their own classrooms. And as Jess mentioned in some of her earlier comments, lots of invited speakers came in to share their perspectives, not only how they provide direct service to students, but also how they collaborate with each other to move the dial and enhance student learning. Zooming into this tier one here, our candidates need to be able to answer all of these kinds of questions in their future classrooms. So you see here questions about essential skills, curriculum and materials. How might those look for students who are at risk or who have disabilities? So when we're talking about preparing candidates for teaching positions where they'll be able to meet all students' needs, we're really talking about all students. Not just those in the middle, not just those who come to school with strong foundational skills. And this is part of the mentality that we want our candidates to leave with, to take from this partnership in order to promote equity in a real applied sense, giving the gift of reading and writing. And so these are, we've already mentioned a few of these. Again, from a classroom perspective, Mary and I spend a lot of time emphasizing, modeling, analyzing explicit instruction practices that we encourage candidates to integrate into their daily instruction, high leverage practices, which are a similar set of skills, a lot of overlap between those two sets. Other evidence-based practices. Amy Butler, who is the district ELA instructional support specialist, came and gave that a really solid overview and introduction to all the different kinds of scholastic materials and assessments used across the grade levels. So talk about equipping candidates with a clear understanding of the tools available to them in their classrooms. And then lastly, that third bullet point, the Jan Richardson text, Next Step Forward in Guided Reading, is a textbook we use in our Buff State class. It also happens to be the featured text in a district-wide book club or reading study. I'm probably missing the actual word. I think it's a book, maybe a book study. But just talk about alignment in terms of regular classroom practices that candidates read about in their college coursework and then see in their classrooms applied. So we'll hear a little bit more about these, some of these practices from Tracy.
I implement the gradual release of responsibility with my teacher candidates so that they feel the most comfortable and prepared when they first start to teach a lesson or activity. As my teacher candidates work on child studies, literacy intervention drills, guided reading, comprehension, writing within my classroom setting, I feel like my candidates can identify how assessment ultimately drives instruction. I expose my teacher candidates to various assessments, including running records that we use in our district. After reviewing assessment data collaboratively, it is evident when instruction must be modified, certain groupings made, or when reteaching of a concept is needed to ultimately meet the literacy needs of all learners. Teacher candidates are able to observe the impact of their work by collecting and analyzing data surrounding literacy growth and development. And overall, I feel that my teacher candidates come to our classroom to work on these literacy skills and learn about behaviors in their child studies. But I definitely feel like our teacher candidates leave with so much more. They get a glimpse of the most amazing and rewarding profession. And my hope is that these are their teaching moments that will live with them throughout their career to then inspire additional future educators.
Yeah, as Tracy said, that definitely these moments live with us. We were scaffolded and we did the method of see it, try it, reflect on it. So in our Buff State class, we'd watch videos of good teaching and we'd watch our mentor teacher in the classroom. In Buff State classroom, we would watch the Jan Richardson, which is guided reading, Anita Archer, which is explicit instruction, and other videos from Engage New York. So that was our see it, and then we'd try it. We would make lessons and we practice it with our Buff State classmates, and then we would bring it into the classroom with real students. So we got to try it. And then when we were trying it, we recorded our lesson so we could reflect on it. So we would take our recorded lesson and upload it to Mosaic. And then we were able to watch ourselves and reflect on it and pinpoint areas of improvement and positive moments. And that was a huge, huge thing for reflection. It was really a great opportunity. And then another thing we did was we had 3-part reflective journals. So we did this at the end of every week. We talked about what we did, we reflected on what we did, and we made connections to other things we were learning in class and just things from other weeks that we could have connected to. And I went back and read all my journals before this, and I have a piece from my first journal and a piece from my last journal, and it's just crazy to see my growth. I'm going to share that with you. So on my first day in my journal, I said, a lot of times I doubt my abilities and wonder if I'm doing the right thing and in the right major. I absolutely love what I do, but I'm always just worried about that I'm not good at it. And I think that being in the school is very helpful to make these connections and feelings to real teachers, and realize that this is normal to feel this way and that my mentor teacher used to feel the same way. It's very different to read about being a teacher and actually talking to and interacting with a teacher on a regular basis. Then on my last day, I wrote, the opportunity that I have received throughout this semester is unmatched to any experience thus far in my educational career. Being thrown into the classroom is the best way to learn how to navigate teaching, and I am so thankful that my mentor teacher gave me this opportunity. I also always knew that I wanted to be an educator, but this experience really confirmed it for me that I am good at what I do and that I will be able to make a difference in students' lives. The amount of confidence that I've gained throughout this semester is crazy, and I am so proud of myself for how far I have come. Just going back and reading those journals and seeing that growth, it's crazy. Like just knowing that I said that on the first day and then I said that on the last day, and it's just like 3 months. That's crazy. It just really shows how grateful I am for this opportunity, how amazing it is, and that it really is worth it.
And thanks, Jess. I also made it through just reading those journals without shedding a tear, although it is a little bit dusty in here. Nicely done. Sara.
So Tracy and Jess have been talking about those authentic learning experiences that they get in the classroom surrounding that tier 1 instruction. And the teacher candidates also dabble in this tier 2 instruction as well. So with this partnership, we're able to provide the teacher candidates with authentic learning experiences around tier 2 instruction. Part of their assignment is to identify a student in need of supplementary or tier 2 reading instruction. And then beyond that, they also have to provide a rationale for what interventions the child would best benefit from. So the teacher candidates use multiple data points to identify a student's area and need of improvement. And one of the 3 assessments that they use to do this is a running record. So as a guest speaker, I use that same gradual release method that we've been talking about. And I facilitate a lesson on how to administer and analyze running records. So we teach the candidates how to do this so that they can add it to their toolbox of strategies. But most importantly, during this time, we learn and we reflect on why we use this assessment and how they can use it to provide targeted reading instruction specific to that child. So after practicing this in class together, we use recordings of students reading. They group up together. They talk about it, what errors they see, how to analyze those errors. They do this in groups. They do it individually. We talk about those errors, and we also talk about picking a teaching point that would then benefit that student. So after we do this in class, they then go into their mentor teachers' classrooms and they put this to real life application. They use this data that they get from this running record to then drive their instruction for the remainder of this semester. And they are actually providing some, like Dr. Hashey said, some one-on-one interventions, some small group work, and also a whole group lesson. So all that data that they collected, they're now using to drive their instruction. Providing this experience ahead of time, ahead of student teaching, allows for them to reflect and continue to improve this practice as they grow. But in turn, it also benefits us here at Holmes because our students are getting additional targeted reading instruction that they need.
Awesome, Sara. Thank you very much. And I'll see you Monday for your next guest lecture spot. So in tier 3, so candidates are in this literacy block. They're moving from the novice to the intermediate stage of their clinical preparation. So there aren't opportunities that we've developed as of yet for students to directly provide tier 3 intervention services. But what we've built into our scheduling is that when sometimes there are a few pockets of planning periods within the time that candidates are in their mentor classrooms. So Sara is graciously and other members of her RTI team have invited our candidates into the reading classrooms to observe tier 3 interventions and to have conversations with interventionists like Sara to gain an understanding of what that looks like in practice. Sara and her team have also come down to do some work analyzing Ames Web data that is collected for students receiving supplemental intervention We've done some mock activities with anonymized Ames web data where students make instructional decisions or grouping decision, placement decisions based on that data. So that's a great set of opportunities. General education teachers, special education teachers, related service providers have come and talked to our group to provide their insight. And then also in terms of course content, we have a few different assignments and modules based on that are focused on database individualization, the DBI process. And so thinking about those 3 tiers, plus students' exposure to special education classrooms and general education classrooms has really helped us feel pretty comfortable and confident about the idea, about the sense that students are in fact getting a broad enough range of experiences to help them see how all of these sets of practices implemented by a range of school stakeholders really come together to support students' literacy growth and development.
I'm going to speak about the first 2 bullet points here for Seeds for Future Growth. And I think it's just very important to highlight the fact that the PDS program through Buffalo State College has really come to me and said, you know, we want our work to be meaningful and we don't want it to be cumbersome. So we've had ongoing conversations about where we are as a building and where we are as a district and how Buffalo State can work to strengthen where we are, as opposed to this is where Buffalo State is, we have to meet you where that is. So the partnership has been collaborative, but you know, we really aligned our focus with Kenton Forward. That is our district strategic plan. And, you know, we've really utilized our partnership at Buffalo State to help strengthen our literacy focus and our school improvement plan. So like I said, the biggest asset to this, to me personally, as the building leader here at Holmes, is Buffalo State is willing to chip in and help us and provide a very unique perspective. And it really helps us work towards our strategic intent of providing all of our children with a quality educational experience and how it's applicable to a literacy focus.
Thanks, Matt. Like all PDS partnerships, we have a liaison team that is a growing team. It's not a bare bones liaison team. Both Matt and Claire, the school administrators, are involved. Sara and Tracy, as well as a few other mentor teachers, Mary and myself. We're all in this work engaged in discussions that do just what Matt described, ensuring that we're focused on building experiences for Buffalo State candidates, as well as our Holmes partners that are a win-win, for students, K-12 students. So that's something that we're going to continue to look at in terms of the structures and the focus of our work together. And that this last point, this school year, this academic year, we're going to be looking at some collaborative grant writing opportunities that we hope will help us carve out some time to do some shared professional development as a liaison team, as well as the broader group of teachers and related service providers that mentor and support our candidates, hopefully doing some writing and some research as a group. So those are our seeds, future. How about seeds for continued growth is what that probably should read. So we have a few minutes. I have a note, and somewhere in my notes says if 140, then we can talk about some panel insights or go to Q&A. And if it's past 140, then start sweating. So we're at 140. We've got a little bit of time to answer some questions. If any are, I'll open up the chat box, which I haven't been looking at. If you have some questions that we can talk about, let's please feel free to either unmute or post them in the chat box, or we can share some additional insights, which we have. Okay, let's see. I agree, Dr. Duty. Great reflection. Other questions that are not in the chat? I just see a few pieces from the chat. Matt, did you want to wrap up with just a few final notes? I think, I mean, maybe you've already hit them in your last slide.
I think we've really highlighted. The key points to this, but it's interesting because we shift. This is the big literacy focus, right? The ability to provide quality instruction with the emphasis on our students' literacy needs. But when I look at it from a building leader's perspective, candidates that go through this program stand out in the interview process. When we train Kenton employees, whether it's a long-term sub or a building-based sub or a TA, going through the interview process, we really ask candidates to highlight and articulate real-world experiences. Well, what I do when the Buff State students come through is I challenge them to ask questions, and I challenge them to really think about the application of what they're doing and how they can regurgitate that in job interviews. So to be honest with you, this partnership it's so unique, and in my personal opinion, it is legitimately putting Buffalo State candidates ahead of other candidates in the job market. And when I see candidates come through this PDS program that we're interviewing, I know that they're a quality candidate, that they've received good real world experiences. And like I said, it sets them apart from the field.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for those words. And we're going to aim collaboratively to keep that hallmark, or strengthen that hallmark for Buffalo candidates. So proud of Jess and all the folks that we've worked with in the short 3 semesters that we've been partnering with Holmes, and excited to see where their paths take them. There are a few resources when I post the PowerPoint on Whova. There's a final slide here, just exploring or offering a few different articles and chapters that describe the program development process and the focus, sort of the focus of the revised undergraduate program. So if that's of interest, check some of those out. And if you have other questions that you'd like to follow up with me about, or with any of the other presenters, I know that would all be happy to answer. So please either reach out on Whova or me via email.